Hi guys and welcome back. This is the second part of my squishy experiment video. If you haven't seen the first one, then I've linked that right up here and down below. And in this one, I'll be mixing even more stuff into clear Hito-Hado gel. In the first part of this DIY dare, I made these octopus squishies using gold leaf, glitter, dried flowers, and color-changing pigments. Then I used the leftover resin to fill up this shell mold just to see what other kinds of squishies I can make. I wanted to test out different types of glitter along with fruit canes and gold pigment. This is a silicone mold from KitchenCraft, and I think it's supposed to be used for fondant or chocolate. But if you love making squishies, then baking shops have great molds that are compatible with all types of Hito-Hado gel. I chose this one because the designs are very small, which is great for using up any leftover squishy resin. So to get started, I'm making a batch of clear Hito-Hado gel. As mentioned in the first video, I used 40% base resin and 60% hardener, which seem to have worked very well. You can see the approximate ratio in these two layers before mixing them together. The first experiment is gold leaf. When using a smaller mold, you can break up the flakes of gold after pouring them inside, which makes it easier to adjust the final design of the squishy. Then I have some fruit canes, which were left over from one of my very first slime videos. I only needed a few pieces here, but I really love the aesthetic this creates. I'm wondering how well the polymer clay can stick to the Hito-Hado gel after curing. Next up, I have some nail art glitter, and I like how it goes slightly swirly when you mix it inside. Then I'm going to try this awesome looking hollow butterfly glitter. I'm kind of curious whether the size of the glitter particles will affect the curing process. Now I've got a gold pigment. This was from an art supply shop, but I'm positive that metallic or shimmery eyeshadow pigment will work just as well. And lastly, I'm using up the leftover thermal pigment from the octopus squishy. I think the color changing effect will also look pretty cool in a very simple squishy such as this seashell shape. Now I left everything for several days and was pleasantly surprised to see that all of these have cured. I genuinely think that they might have improved the formula of Hito-Hado gel, or maybe I just got an expired or damaged batch in the past. All of these have an almost perfect squishy texture despite being a bit sticky. Hito-Hado gel actually comes with talcum powder designed to reduce the stickiness, but this also turns the surface cloudy. So I personally prefer leaving out the talcum powder for clear squishies, but I do use it for milky ones. I think a bit of stickiness is a fair trade-off for the aesthetic of a perfectly transparent squishy. The fruit cane squishy looks really pretty and was fairly easy to get out of the mold. However, it's quite fragile, so it's not a squishy that you can simply carry around. It can only be squished on a flat surface like this table and needs to be handled fairly carefully. Next up is the pink glitter. Just like the octopus squishy, all the glitter has settled to the bottom, however it's very well attached to the gel. Unfortunately, the edges of this one ripped when I was taking it out of the mold, so it ended up being a bit of a fail. I think this was mostly caused by the shape of the mold. This shell has very thin edges with a ribbed surface, which is not ideal when combined with a very soft batch of Hitohara gel. I definitely should have used more hardener with this one or chosen a different mold. So this next one made me realize that shaped glitter doesn't work very well for clear squishies. I love this butterfly design, but I realized that when you have too many of them at once, it becomes hard to see what it's supposed to be. The result is still nice, but not as pretty as the other ones. I was excited to see what happens with the gold pigment because I wasn't sure whether it would settle to the bottom like glitter or stay mixed throughout like thermal pigments. As you can see, the powder has sunk to the bottom, creating a really cool effect that looks like the seashell has been dusted with gold. This looks so pretty and works especially well with this type of seashell design. The pigment has an added bonus of taking away some of the stickiness. So you can actually squish this one really well without anything getting stuck to your finger. Last but not least, we have the color changing pigment. I placed this in the freezer just to get the color to change, but not so long that the gel will accidentally end up freezing, which is what happened to the octopus one. This one really reminds me of candy, and I think it'll also look great with the gummy bear molds that I made in this tutorial. The color changing effect works really well, though this is another squishy that's kind of fragile and needs to be kept on a flat surface. And this final squishy is the only one that broke during demolding. This was a shame, but I think all the other experiments were successful enough to find out what really works with Hitohara gel. Here's an overview of all the squishies, and this was a really fun video to make. I learned a lot of new techniques I can use in future tutorials, so be sure to subscribe to Macaroon and Cute Life Hacks so you don't miss out. I'm Joanna, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!